Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Here lies the New York Yankees season. And this year, they don't even get one of these to show for it. Yes, everyone, it is I, Mike DeSanto, here live with Cinco Squad. John is currently at MetLife Stadium warning all the Eagles that aren't Saquon Barkley, because he already knows about the awful turf that exists on this field. Here's hoping that no one gets injured tonight. No one falls victim to the turf as they seem to be doing oh so often. And Grandpa Jay, meanwhile, is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going over the NFL rule book to show them that the rules don't state anywhere that you have to wait until under a minute to go in the game to try to secure a win. But I'm here going live for a little bit. It's going to be kind of a mini episode tonight, but thank you for joining me. So yes, first, we must give our eulogy for the New York Yankees. They have officially been eliminated by the Toronto Blue Jays last night, that being Wednesday night if you're watching after Thursday. And it's probably more disappointing than last year. I mean, last year they went to the World Series and got beaten 5 games by the LA Dodgers, but at least they went to the World Series. And again, at least I get this cool hat. Now, this year, they lose in the ALDS, and something's got to give here. I mean, obviously, you have a lot of talent on the roster. You went and got more talent and seemingly fixed your bullpen issues, at least in the playoffs, at the trade deadline by bringing in a bunch of guys. Aaron Boone did not make as many mistakes as you might think he made, and I think this was one of his better managed series as far as like between the wild card and the ALDS, as opposed to previous years where I think he made some pitching mistakes and things like that. He has frustrated me in the past, but what does that leave us with? That actually leaves us with the front office and Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner as owner. The fact that there seems to be issues at all levels. The talent isn't stepping up, and I'm not going to say that part of the roster isn't at fault. You know, Cam Schlittler in Game 4 gave you everything he had, but you didn't step up and give him the run support. He gave up 2 runs, and then it got out of hand after that. But you didn't score it. You scored 2 runs, one of which, you know, was at the end of the game when you were already down and pretty much defeated. So it seems to be inherently a organizational issue. And the fact that they can't seem to develop the talent that they have, they trade their prospects for players that maybe don't work out. In most cases, a lot this year did work out, but in the past, namely Sonny Gray, Frankie Montas, any Oakland pitcher pretty much, hasn't worked out. You can't evaluate talent clearly that you're bringing in. And then if you're going to go after major free agents, you're not spending the way you used to. You're not willing to fork out the money to keep your good players. I mean, obviously you kept Aaron Judge, and that was great. You went until, you know, the end to do that. But at the end of the day, it's a disappointing loss. Something's got to change here, and I'm sick and tired of seeing the same old, where you don't address issues in the offseason, and then you scramble at the trade deadline to address the issues that have come up in the first half of the season. The inevitable June slump causes you to go for players, and a lot of times those players don't work out. But I digress. Baseball season is over. We move on. Obviously, hockey season has started. I'm super excited for the Rangers. And football season. And believe me, it is not lost on me the fact that I am currently wearing New York Giants gear with a giant Philadelphia Eagles logo behind me, and that you can see tonight. The Giants and Eagles face off in Thursday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. And be honest, I'm going to be a realistic Giants fan here. I'm not expecting much from the team tonight. You got the Eagles coming off of a loss, so they're going to be fired up, and being that it's a division rival, even more fired up than they normally would be. And you have a New York Giants team that is still trying to figure out whether they have their franchise quarterback. It seems like they do. Behind a beaten up and lackluster offensive line outside of Andrew Thomas. Once again, we're going to have a quarterback running for his life, and he doesn't have his number one weapon because Malik Neighbors is out for the rest of the year. Thank you, MetLife Turf. So Cam Scattaboo, super excited to see what he can do. I'm actually putting him in my starting lineup tonight for my fantasy league because I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I think he's going to get a lot of yards. I'm excited. He's going to be my flex, and hopefully he can do well. The Eagles, I think, are the best team in football. Bar none. I think they're the most deep talented team. And when it comes down to winning, that's what you need, especially in football. Defense wins championships. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have depth on the defense. They have depth on the offense. Jalen Hurts is admittedly a much better quarterback than people give him credit for. I think it's not just the tush push. I think he is a great leader, and he is a quarterback that can get wins, as he consistently has. They have depth at the wide receiver position, depth at the running back position. They just took a tough loss. I think in the end, they're my Super Bowl favorites. I think in the end, the AFC is kind of going to beat each other up. It seems like nobody's really stepped up and been, the guys. I think the Bills are the closest thing they have to that, especially with the Ravens falling off seemingly this year. But Cinderella Colts, Cinderella Broncos, we'll see what they can do. But I don't think anyone's beating the Eagles this year, and I don't think anybody's beating the Eagles tonight, that being the Giants. I don't expect a win here. I want to see positive progress. Brian Daboll's days are numbered as New York Giants head coach, I think. Joe Shane's days are numbered as New York Giants GM. Hopefully that doesn't mean that we're moving on already from Jackson Dart, because I do think he has potential. But as a Giants fan, I don't expect much for the rest of the year, especially tonight. And, hopefully they at least keep it close going into halftime to give me some sort of hope that this team has players that can actually help them win or compete in games. But we'll see. But the other thing I wanted to talk about outside of my teams, the Yankees getting eliminated, the Giants probably getting absolutely destroyed tonight by the Eagles, we got some good college football games coming up this weekend. Illinois is playing Ohio State. I think that's going to be a good game. I think Ohio State's the best team in the country. They're ranked number one for a reason. I don't see a lot of, missed beats as far as their national championship team. I know they lost a few good players. They replaced them with good players. Surprise, surprise that Ohio State did that. Let's see. We've got the game that I want to talk about, which is Indiana. And again, you're like, why are we talking about Indiana? Indiana's going to Oregon. It's going to be a tough game, tough place to play. Oregon, of course, bringing out another round of cool jerseys and helmets to play Indiana. But the thing about Indiana is, if they win this game, they're considered mathematically to be a 91% chance to make the playoff this year. They went in as a Cinderella last year. They might very well go in as a top 10 team. Probably not getting the top 4 seed, but might be close because they've been a very good team this year. And I'm excited to see what they can do against Oregon. It would be a huge win. It would be the biggest win of their season, obviously. And if that can make them a 91% chance to make the playoff, I think that's awesome. And I'm excited to see what Indiana can do this year. I hope Notre Dame can find a way to squeak in, although with 2 losses, that's going to be very difficult. But Indiana's got a real good chance. And they could stun some teams if they get into the playoff. I think they will get into the playoff. I think they're going to prove this week why they deserve to be considered a playoff team and why they will eventually make the playoff. But that's going to be my, eyes-on matchup when it comes to college football this year, or actually, I should say this week. Also looking at Missouri, going to go to play Alabama. That's going to be a good game. It's a big test for how good this Missouri team is. I think they're number 12 or 14 in the country right now. Going to go play an Alabama team that, are they the same Alabama? Are they getting back to that point? Or are we going to have another fall off in the Kalen DeBoer era that possibly ends the Kalen DeBoer era? Like I think it will if it happens, like it did last year. I don't think Alabama after the Saban era is going to have a lot of patience. So if Missouri can knock off Alabama here, Alabama might go into a tailspin that ends DeBoer's time there. So they could play big spoilers and get themselves into a playoff position. I believe they're mathematically a 52% chance to make the playoff, which is, makes them, I guess, a statistical favorite if they beat Alabama. So, Indiana, Missouri, 2 very interesting teams to keep your eyes on this weekend. I'm excited for football. We're moving past baseball. I'm excited for hockey to be back. The Rangers did lose the first night, but it's a long season. I'm super pumped to see what they can do this year. Hockey's my second favorite sport behind baseball. So stay tuned. Stay tuned with us. We're going to be on all weekend. Stay tuned to our socials at Cinco Squad Pod 05 on all those socials. We're active. We like to talk back. We're going to be talking about all these games, whether it be football, baseball, college, NFL, NHL, NBA's coming up soon. The WNBA finals are coming to an end. We're covering all of it. Please stay tuned with us, and I'll see you guys next time.